There you go. So I do have other tips and tricks that we can talk about, but I just wanted to go through these for the moment. And now it's like, let's listen to your tips and tricks. So I'm just going to come back to the screen and stop the presentation. So first of all, does anybody have any questions or comments about the slide?
I do have two questions. I always have trouble with the clouds and the denoise of the clouds and the sky. My noise reduction on Lightroom, when I put in, it says denoise is not currently compatible with this photo format. Does everybody have that, or everybody on Lightroom
No,
has that?
Sorry, I'm just gonna open the door here.
How do I fix that, or is there a way to change that? Because the other options I get is manual noise reduction, which is just shows the luminance and the color, and also the sharpening. I can only do the sharpening, so my actual denoise, my noise reduction doesn't work.
No. So what I think I will do, I'll take note of that, and I will do another tips and tricks. And what you can do also in the meantime, you can maybe just send me some screenshots of your screen and of the messages that you get, and then I'm going to explain to you how to denoise the sky with Lightroom. They have new tools where you can select just the sky. What I normally do, I do gradients. Because if you kind of just select the whole sky, it's going to do, because normally the noise kind of goes in gradients. So the higher you are in the sky, the more noise you actually have. So I actually do it in gradients, starting from the top, and then it goes less, and then you don't want it to kind of, for example, if you have buildings, you don't want to denoise the buildings, because you're gonna at the end of the day, you're going to kind of damage the photo by doing that. That's why I do a gradient. So I'm going to take notes on denoising the sky, and we can do a tutorial and about that. And your second question?
Yes, sir. My second one is, I'm using the color mixer. Has anybody used that one? Is that okay to use? Because it really pinpoints the...
Yeah, that's new in Lightroom, and I haven't kind of gone into that. When I saw that appear, I'm like, where have my sliders gone? So you just need to kind of play around, so we can actually, so your second point, I'm definitely going to look into that, and we can do tips and tricks about that.
Cool. Thank you.
Right. Does anybody else have a question or a comment?
Okay, Jake, after me, maybe?
Yes,
okay,
yes,
I have a question, yeah. It is about burn skies in videos. So I fly my drone and I tilt my camera up. So first I start in a dark area, and then I would love to reveal the horizon, maybe the mountains in the background. And if I set my drone on automatic, it's not gonna work, because it goes like click, click, click. So we have those f-stops, more or less.
Yeah.
And so how can I handle that? If I go on, how can I edit it later? I do it like with the pictures, so I expose to the highlights in the sky, but later in editing, I don't know how to do it with video. With photos, I'm fine, but with video, is there any special
so there's
tool I can use in Premiere Pro?
So there's I mean, we're not talking about post-production here, we're talking actually about flying. So there's two things that you need to make sure. You need to set the color balance to not to automatic. You need to set your color balance, because if you put your camera down and you go up, if you're shooting over water, it's going to recognize the blue, it's going to change the color balance, and then when you come up, the color balance is also going to change. So you need to set your color balance to manual, and you need to set your exposure to manual. Okay. So now that you've set those to manual, the thing is that I spoke to you about differential in light. So you're going to have something which is like very exposed and something that's not so exposed. And I also spoke to you about a time of day where you're not going to have that big differential in light. So, for example, if you're shooting at the golden hour, the light's going to be more or less the same. Okay, so then you can use it. But if, for example, if you're going into the mountains and then you got like in a valley and something is dark and then you kind of reveal and then it's light, it's not going to work so well. So the thing is that you need to choose a good time of day to do that. So and you also need to say what your subject is. So for example, if you're shooting let's say the sea and you're shooting a boat, you can do a reveal because the light is more or less the same. There's no big shadows anywhere. So that it's got to do with that, trying to find the right time of day and the way that you actually shoot it. Now, in post-production, there are ways that you can do it, but then it becomes more complicated, where you need to set certain parts of your video, and then you can do like some gradients that as the video progresses, that the light also changes progressively, so that you can do that in post-production. But then it becomes more complicated. It's always the balance between how much time do you want to spend in post-production, and that's always something that I've always prioritized, is that get it good in camera, so you don't need to spend a lot of time in post-production. So yeah, that's a tip: color balance and manual exposure.
Thank you.
No problem. Jake, you had a question?
If I may add some experience. When I bought my Mavic 3, I started in the normal color mode, which is quite natural colors, beautiful colors often. But in some cases, I found the dynamic range was too small, so the highlights were blown out. So I switched to D-Log, but D-Log is difficult to process in Premiere Pro. I found a lot of artifacts, and I had to correct it with Neat Video, for instance. It was a lot of work. But since an update earlier this year, we can also shoot another mode, which is D-Log M. And D-Log M is very convenient for me. It's somewhere in the middle between normal and D-Log.
Okay.
So it's easier to process, and I find it much more convenient and enough room for the dynamic range. So
that's great.
I moved to that.
Sometimes when you're shooting in D-Log, it's also because it's so faint that it's kind of difficult to actually understand what's the right exposure. So you must also really be careful about that, not to be kind of overexposed or underexposed because of what it looks like when you're in D-Log. I mean, you can have the histogram if you want, but that's also something just to be careful. Jake, you had a question? Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, these are all great questions, so maybe I should just be quiet. But anyways, I did have one about the panoramas. Yeah, I didn't. So are you saying that we can submit not just the panorama, but if we like this vertical crop and we like this horizontal crop, we can submit those as well as individual files?
That's right.
Is that what I understand? Okay.
That's what I'm actually recommending. Yeah, is
right,
that you
right,
actually?
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the times, when I'm shooting a place maybe that I necessarily don't know the location, I'm always love to do panoramas, to take multiple shots, and also sometimes you can't get everything in, so sometimes I shoot a little bit there and a little bit there, but if you just take 2 shots, then you can't do a proper panorama. So you need to get at least at least 4 shots to do a panorama. But I would definitely recommend, if you're doing if you're shooting a place which is really beautiful, is to just do panoramas, and it doesn't take that much longer. Any other questions?
Yeah, Paul, I have one question. Yeah, what is the importance of hyperlapse? Because it take many times to take one hyperlapse. If 50 seconds, it's almost one battery is full to take one hyperlapse, or maximum 2 hyperlapse. So what is the importance of hyperlapse?
Well, at one point in photography and also in stock, doing time lapses, so just with your tripod and your camera, it was very, very special, and a lot of people did it, and I did it, and I loved doing it. It was like a meditation for me, like 700 photos of this one place, and then afterwards you see everything coming to light, or the mist moving, and that was really beautiful. What I'm seeing is that there's not such a high demand for time lapse as it was before. In terms of hyperlapse, what I'm also seeing is that if it's not always smooth, and also when you're doing a time lapse with people with a normal camera, and you're not taking pictures, you're not taking enough pictures, the people will kind of move like that. Then they're actually not moving like that, like very fast. They actually kind of, it just doesn't look very nice. And what I'm noticing in the time lapse, it's the same thing. There's too much difference in time between each picture. So I looked at the time lapse, hyperlapse that was done. I think it was Alexander Tasho of a really beautiful bridge, and the cars going, but the cars weren't moving like that fast. They were just going like that, and it looked jittery. And then also I could see that the drone maybe was going up and down a little bit, so the bridge was also going up and down. So I think I haven't really played around so much with hyperlapse with the drone, but what I would recommend is that if you have the possibility, is to do the intervals as short as possible, and maybe to shoot wider, and then to use a stabilizer, and then it'll stabilize the image afterwards, because the stabilize, it moves the image, so it kind of puts it into place. So you need to have like that outer edge and that frame free for it to be able to move. So that's what I would recommend for hyperlapse. But yeah,
Hey, Paul,
great.
I gotta get going. I got a family picture here starting in 5 minutes. So thank you very much. See you guys.
Thanks,
Until next time.
thanks, Moses. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man. Happy Thanksgiving.